Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Telescope Podcast. Thank you for listening.
What's up, everybody? Everyone in this place, if you could do a handstand, I want to see your feet up in the air right now. Wave them around, that's right. Woo! We're the hype.
Well, hello there. Thank you for listening. This is the Telescope Podcast, where we look at culture through the spyglass of faith, discuss cultural happenings, defend the Christian worldview, and have some fun doing it. As I'm recording this, we're coming off of Memorial Day weekend, so before we get into the podcast, just want to say thank you to all the veterans and military service people who are serving our country, doing a good thing. We appreciate you, love you, and just want to say thank you for everything that you do for us so we can live in this great free country. All right, let me give you a little background to this topic before I dive right into it. I've been inspired lately by this story that's it's kind of old news now, but the story that broke about a British research vessel that was recently commissioned, and the British government put it out there on the internet to let the people choose a name. And there were some really dignified names in the list, like the RSS Henry Worsley, the RSS David Attenborough, the RSS Pillar of Autumn. I mean, great names. You know, you'd feel proud if you were the captain of that boat coming into the harbor and saying, this is the RSS Pillar of Autumn, ready to dock, or the RSS David Attenborough. Very nice, majestic names. However, things being as they are on the internet, somebody wrote in a name, and it caught on, and pretty soon it was a runaway winner. And the name that was chosen was the RSS Bodie McBoatface. And as I'm saying it, I can't help but laugh. I can't even keep a straight face. Can you imagine a captain coming in on this $200 million research vessel? Hello, this is the RSS Bodie McBoatface, preparing to dock. It's just ridiculous. I imagine captains standing around in a captain's lounge, what do you pilot? Oh, I pilot the RSS Magna Carta, or some majestic name. And I'm captain of the Bodie McBoatface. What was that? The Bodie McBoatface? Yeah, so it's magical, and it's been just making me laugh all week. And so I just did a little quick research online, and I found that there's a whole bunch of examples of polls that have been done like this for different products, different companies, individuals that have gone awry because, people just think it's so funny to hijack these things. And so that's my topic today. I'm going to go through a few of them. I found a couple great sources. Let me just give you my sources quick. Time.com has a great article called 5 Times a Ridiculous Fan Naming Vote Worked and When It Didn't. And then there's another article on mentalfloss.com called 15 Polls Hijacked by the Internet. And I'm not going to go through all of them. You can go to those sites, go to Time or Mental Floss and look those up if you want to read the whole story. But I'm just going to give you a few of my personal favorites. So Bodie McBoatface is number one. I mean, that's just so funny. And in that case, the government stepped in and said, no, we're not going to name our new boat Bodie McBoatface. I think they're going to name one of the submarines or like a lifeboat or something, Bodie McBoatface. But I don't know. I think maybe that boat will always be known as Bodie McBoatface in people's minds. Anyway, another one, Greenpeace held a contest in 2007 to name a whale from a pod of humpbacks they had tagged in the South Pacific. So they put it out on the internet, and the winner of that one, Mr. Splashy Pants. Again, completely magical, Mr. Splashy Pants. Greenpeace, however, they decided to go with it, and because the ridiculous name drew a lot of attention to the poll. I mean, it's what got people there to vote, probably, to get this ridiculous name through. And so they just went with it, and then you must have had to give in your email or something to participate. And so they were able to contact all these people that had voted for this and ask them for support. So in that case, it worked out well. They probably they raised a lot of money. So that's an example of when it worked and they just went with it. Mountain Dew was hijacked. They did a poll to give a name to a new flavor, and the number one was Hitler did nothing wrong. Yeah, so you could imagine they sent out a profuse apology and did not go with that. Here's a great one. William Shatner. I didn't realize how old he was. This article says he's 82. Way to go, William, for staying healthy and keeping going. Anyway, this one says Star Trek fans rallied behind William Shatner, a.k.a. Captain Kirk, in 2012 when the then 82-year-old actor petitioned the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute to name Pluto's two newly discovered moons, Vulcan and Romulus. So, hey, if you're a Trekkie, that would have been sweet to have Vulcan and Romulus be real celestial bodies. That would be awesome for us who have a place for Star Trek in our hearts. Unfortunately, they didn't make it. Other names were chosen and said, sorry, William, sorry, Trek fans, it didn't work out. Now, there's also been some examples of musicians, this backfiring on musicians. Now, crowdfunding has become real popular in the music world, where an artist will reach out to their fans and ask for help to fund an album. And a lot of times they'll do, perks, like if you give a large amount. There was one artist, a Christian artist that I like, John Mark McMillan, and he did a crowdfunding project. And I think if you gave like $1,000, or maybe it was $1,500 or $2,000, anyway, it was a large amount. But if you gave one of those large amounts, you could have dinner with him. And if you gave a really high amount, you could even open one of his concerts. You could do a few opening songs. So I don't know if anyone went that high, but usually there's perks. If you get $50, you might get a T-shirt, or you might get some bonus tracks. A lot of times they have special content, special videos, live performance videos that have never been seen that are for people who give. And so it's really caught on. It's a way to build community as an artist and raise funds, and it's a cool thing. However, it's backfired a few times. Taylor Swift did one of these, and the poll was to see where she would go and give a free concert, I believe. She let her fans choose a destination. What happened is the websites Reddit and 4chan encouraged their communities to go out and vote at that poll. And so Taylor Swift, in the end, was sent to Boston's Horace Mann School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. That's right, to do a concert. Taylor Swift obviously knew that was not really her fans that were participating, but people who thought they were funny. And so she handled it real well, I thought. What she did is she donated $50,000 to the school, and then she offered tickets to anyone there who wanted to come see her play when she played a show nearby. So she played a show in the area, offered free tickets to anyone at the school who did want to see her, and made a big, nice, fat donation to the school. And I think that's pretty awesome. So way to go, Taylor. Now, Justin Bieber did this. He should have known better. People love to pick on Justin Bieber. He did the same thing, put a poll out there, asking fans to send him somewhere to do a concert. And of course, pranksters hopped online, and they sent him to, where do you think? North Korea. Maybe they're trying to get rid of him, trying to knock him off or something. Needless to say, the Bieb did not go to North Korea. He stayed stateside. And the last one, in the similar vein, Pitbull was working with Walmart, and they put out a Facebook poll, and he was going to perform in a Walmart somewhere. And I hadn't heard about this until recently, but it's kind of been a thing for artists to perform in Walmarts. And I think it started in the southern states with country artists, kind of the blue collar, redneck kind of country thing. So they go play at a Walmart in some area, and tons of people show up, and it's good for the store, good for the artist, gives them a great fan connection. And so Pitbull's kind of doing this thing, same thing, not kind of, he is doing the same thing. Now there's a comedy website called Something Awful, and so the guys that run that put it out there to their people saying, hey, let's get on this and let's send Pitbull to the most remote Walmart in the United States, which happens to be in Kodiak, Alaska. The fans of the Something Awful site just overran the poll, and Pitbull was sent to Kodiak, Alaska. And he actually did it. And what he did is he just went with it, but he kind of put the ball back in their court because he contacted the guys that run the site Something Awful, and their names are David Thorpe and John Hendren. He called them out and said, all right, you guys orchestrated this. Why don't you guys come up with me? You can get some content and it'll be funny. You can put it on your site. We'll just do it. And so that's kind of cool. And he actually went and performed in Kodiak, Alaska. All right, and my final poll has to do with a celebrity again. It was a little different vein though. Do you all remember Fred Durst from the 90s band Limp Bizkit? Yeah, well, the city of Austin, Texas put out a poll to rename their garbage facility, their garbage dump. Somebody wrote this name in. It was a runaway winner, but Austin didn't go for it. The name they wrote in is the Fred Durst Society of Humanities and Arts, which is amazing. I don't know if you'd feel good as Fred Durst that people remember you after 20 years, almost 20 years, or if people want to name a dump, you feel insulted. I don't know. I don't know if you feel insulted or loved if you're Fred Durst in that situation. But the Fred Durst Society of Humanities and Arts, the city decided to name the dump the Austin Resource Recovery. So it didn't work out to name the dump after Fred Durst, but you know what? He's probably okay with that. So the moral of this is beware of the crowd. Don't just go along with the crowd because, man, you'll end up in the weeds. There's a proverb that says, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. That's from Proverbs 14:12. You can't go along with the crowd. You've got to search for truth. To be honest, I have a lot more respect for the person who says they're an atheist and and they have their reasons behind that stand that they've taken. I have a lot more respect for that person than I do for someone who's just this wishy-washy person who just has no reasoning, who just goes along floating on the sea of humanity. You know, their head's just a little bit of this idea, a little bit of that idea, all put in a blender, not really any thought put into it. They just sort of live. And that's not good. Why are you living the way you're living? What's your worldview? What's your reason for the way you live and the choices you make? And what do you believe? What's true? What's not true? The world can only be one way. There is truth in this world. And like I said, to the person who is a skeptic and has their reasons why, you see, they've stepped into the world of truth. And now they've got some propositions for why they hold their belief. And that's the kind of person that you can talk to in an intelligent way and discuss these things, you know? And you can talk about why faith, why the Bible, why Jesus, how does science support it, how does history support it, all these things. But, you know, if you're just out there kind of living a nebulous life, just kind of floating along, I encourage you, you know, think about why you live the way you live and consider Christ. You know, there's some great books out there. The Case for Faith, The Case for Christ are two good ones. You know, pick up anything by Ravi Zacharias and just read and check some things out. Go to look up the Discovery Institute online and look at some things on faith, science, culture. There's just so many resources out there, but a lot of people, they just won't take the time to look into them. They just want to go along with the crowd. But you know what? You don't want to go along with the crowd and end up being named Bodie McBoatface because you know what? Your life is more important than a British research vessel. And so don't go along with the crowd and think. There you go. There's my message today. Anyway, my name is Matthew Seipel Anderson. I'm your host. You can follow me on Twitter at MSA_music. I'm on Facebook. You can look up the Telescope Podcast or MSA, my music project. And take care. Thanks for listening.